What is up, good people? Welcome. Lightning Round Podcast is back. Craig's here. I am here. And as all of you that have tuned in probably know or might not know, we are missing one of our comrades here, one of the OGs of Lightning Round Podcast, Jamie Hoyle. And, he's probably going to come on to a podcast at some point and talk about exactly what his motivation was, but he's talked about it on Twitter. If you're part of the Lightning Round Discord, he's mentioned in there, but he is no longer going to be part of the podcast for now. He will be joining us from time to time, but with two daughters growing up, it's ever more important to be spending that quality time with them, and so he's decided to go and do that. You know, his oldest daughter, Gracie's playing softball, and they play games on Sundays. So that's obviously conflicts with the Chargers games, which he's missed from time to time to do this podcast. And then Ellie, his younger daughter, she is dancing. And so he wants to go and check out her performances too. And so I'm super proud of the decision he made. I mean, it sucks that we don't get to have him here selfishly, but as a friend for a very long time and a guy that I built a podcast with, it's nice to see that he made a decision and he's happy with it, and he chose his family, and there's nothing better than that. So Jamie, we miss you. I know we'll be seeing you soon. I mean, it kind of sounds like he's dead. He's not dead.
No.
But we text every day, so it's not like
we're not memorializing Jamie right now.
Not at all. But he does deserve his flowers. He's obviously been half of this podcast since its inception, and I've been super proud of what we've done with this. Craig and I are going to take it over from here, but from time to time you might see Jamie. Maybe he'll jump on some draft podcasts. I'm not sure, but for now it'll be Craig and I.
Yeah, man. Jamie, we appreciate you. I'll speak for myself personally. Having found this podcast just randomly 13 or so years ago, 12, 13. Literally, I have an 11-year-old that's going to be 12 next month. And I found the Lightning Round podcast just before he was born. So it was just another reminder of we're getting old. And, his daughters are growing up. So, of course, that requires more time and attention with all the extracurriculars and everything else. So we're just a little bit behind him with regard to that. So, just Jamie's doing what's necessary for him and his family. And we appreciate all of his input, everything that he's done throughout the years. I will say personally, I'm going to miss like the snide, snarky comments. I love it. I love dry humor. It's my thing. So me and Jamie were kind of like, I would say he's like my spirit animal of sorts. But again, it's not like he's gone anywhere. Like you won't see him on the pod that often. We're still in the group chats. We're still talking to each other. So it's really you guys that are missing out. We're not. So sucks for y'all.
Yeah.
But anyway.
He is in the Discord.
For sure. He's definitely in the Discord. But Jamie, again, appreciate you. See when you pop in. He's not gone forever. He'll be in and out when he can, I'm sure. But outside of that, just gonna keep the train rolling.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep it going. You'll definitely see us on after games for the most part. We are going to record from time to time when important stuff happens during the week. If we kind of feel like we're influenced to go and do a podcast during the week, we might do that. But outside of that, you'll see us after the games. I think Score More is probably going to, take a dip. I think probably 5 on it's going to do the same. But we'll be here after games. You'll still see us. We'll be in the Discord. We're going to be on Twitter. We are back. We took a little break for the summer, which was nice. But football's back.
Yeah,
training camp's here. Football, preseason football at least, is around the corner. So we got a lot to talk about. And everybody in the chat, we've been gone a long time. So, well, not a long time, a couple months. We haven't been gone forever. But send us your questions in the chat of anything you want us to talk about. We'll talk about it. But for now, we'll just talk about some of the recent things that have happened in the last month or so. And I think we'll just start with like the most current stuff, which is training camp. So, Craig, what's kind of the first thing that's stood out for you so far, seeing all these reports from camp?
So many places we can start, but let's just go with like the irony of the Chargers in general. We saw some of the free agency moves, one being at the running back position, 2 pickups, one coming through the draft, but in free agency, Najee Harris, who, of course, in classic Charger fashion, they signed a guy who's never missed an NFL game. And what does he decide to go do? Blow himself up with fireworks on the 4th of July on Daniel Street, nonetheless. So, with all that being said, it's been an interesting off season, but now that we're talking camp, Najee being out for the time being, we don't know when that's going to happen. Right now, he's getting his Nick Fury on, I guess, with the patch over his eye.
Right. And we'll get into more of that for sure.
Yeah. So, but definitely, kind of loving what I'm seeing so far in some of the clips that are popping up on Twitter with the receivers. Why not just kick it off with the name that's kind of the elephant in the room? Because I know it's what everyone wants to talk about in Quentin Johnston. So we can lead off with that. What are you feeling about Quentin so far?
Yeah. First off, just to answer the question from the chat, podcast of the preseason games. Yes, we'll be here after football for sure. Preseason, regular season, and hopefully playoffs. Hopefully deep playoff games too.
Yes.
So yes, preseason. Preseason is always fun because you get to see who that bottom fringe players are and who's going to be on the bubble. I love that part of it.
Yeah, and you fall in love with the guy who doesn't make the team or is just on the back of the roster forever, like I do every single year. And you get your heart broken a little bit, and he never pans out. So can't wait.
Oh yeah, I mean so they cut him. We freak out because of a mistake. He gets it, bounced around 3 different practice squads. You never hear from him again, and that's just how preseason is.
Disappears into the abyss. Wouldn't be an off season without it.
So QJ put together some really good days. Coaches are talking him up a lot, and we saw it was like 2 days in a row where Chargers Twitter account was just like, okay, QJ, like have a day, QJ. Like they were really pumping him up. And then I think it was Harbaugh or maybe it was one of the receivers. I can't remember. Today was talking about the jump from QJ, but I mean, this happens every preseason or every training camp. And I mean, I've seen coaches and reporters talking him up every day at camp this so far. And it happened in year 1, it happened in year 2. With the Mike Williams retirement, which we'll talk about in a little bit, he gets a little more run, but QJ is fine. I don't know that we can have the expectation that he's going to be anything better than a low-end QB3 or wide receiver 3 at this point. I think if you're depending on him to be a wide receiver 2 or God help you, wide receiver 1, you're mistaken. And, I think with limited snaps, it could be effective, but I just don't love the let's pump him up as much as possible. And then he'll have a bad drop like he did today. And then people go, oh, there goes QJ again. And then there's like an angry mob going, why are you so negative? And look, man, he is a professional wide receiver in the NFL. His one job is to catch the football. And that man was born with 2 left hands backwards. I don't know. He just cannot catch the ball. And he's had his issues, and we're all rooting for him. And I hope he has a successful career, and I hope he explodes this season. I really do. But I just don't love the let's make the expectation so high for QJ every offseason that he's going to be a focal point of the offense to automatically get let down every single season when week 1 hits. So great on QJ. I hope that he made the step that they're talking about, and he's ascended like the coaches are talking about, but I am just not of that camp. I will see it once real games start, but I just do not love. In fact, I kind of hate the fact that we're putting so much expectations on QJ when you could just say, hey man, he'll be a good depth piece and be happy with that, because that kind of feels like what it is right now. And I get it. He was a 1st round pick, so you want him to be a wide receiver 1, but you're seeing Trey Harris jump him. KLS is having a lot of good days in a row now too. So I don't know. I think it'll eventually work itself out. I hope QJ doesn't see a ton of snaps, but I hope he does good. I just don't love that everybody, shoots for the moon for him every training camp.
Yeah, it's setting him up for failure. So you're talking to a guy who's actually had firsthand, like right up on him view of QJ since high school, because I didn't realize this until like a year or so later. I don't know how I didn't, but he played against my oldest son his senior year of high school. So I actually watched QJ play. And I remember this kid, and he's looking really big. He's athletic, but he dropped 2 passes, and I didn't. I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Like, you're clearly the best athlete on the field, but you got like skillet hands. I don't understand this, but I just figured, hey, I didn't even realize he was a senior. I just thought it was a younger kid. Maybe he was still growing into his game. So you're talking about a guy, I've watched this since he was in high school, literally. Then we scout him at TCU, and we all had the same opinion. So you watching this podcast, if you've been around for any like period of time, you knew that when that QJ draft happened, none of us were really big fans. We all complained about the same things. He's got the same issues that have plagued him since literally high school. So with that being said, I understand the coach is pumping him up because they want to give him confidence. Like McConkey talked about him. Anytime like any of the beat reporters ask a question, all of their teammates are going to say great things about him. And we've seen clips of him making, I want to be very clear about this, he's making good catches. But the bar is so low now as far as expectations. The catches that guys that were drafted like within like either immediately before him or after him in that year's draft, those are routine catches for them. But when QJ does it, everyone's wild. It's because the bar is so low. That's not how it's supposed to be. We're talking about a first-round wide receiver who should be able to make those catches easily every day. And with his body type, he should be a little bit more physical. He just doesn't play to his size and what you think that he should. So keeping all of these things in mind, the thing that freaked me out the most is, and we can make our jokes, we did, because when Mike Will signed, we all were like, well, I mean, eventually, Trey Harris is going to end up starting anyway because Mike Williams isn't going to make it through the year. We just didn't think he wasn't going to actually make it into the season.
Yeah.
So
into training camp.
Yeah, into training camp at all. Not take a single camp snap. Wow. But anyway, he retires, and then immediately the question is, okay, so that means Trey Harris is going to be your ex, right? Well, no. Greg Roman decides to stand in front of the lectern the other day, and when he's asked about it, he says, oh, yeah, QJ can absolutely play the X. I was hoping that he was just putting that out there, again, to help keep QJ confident. But the fact of the matter is that anyone with eyes and like the slightest bit of deductive reasoning knows that it's probably a bad idea to put him in that situation, and he absolutely shouldn't be a boundary X. I just assumed that the plan going into camp when we thought Mike Will was going to be around was that, Mike would be your X, Trey's going to be the Z, Ladd was going to spend the bulk of his snaps in the slot and like moonlight a little bit at Z. And that would pretty much imply that QJ is going to be your wide receiver 4 with more of like a rotational role and sort of like a specialty designation. So you can like utilize his strengths, which is, of course, yards after the catch. So you probably see like his fair share of screens, reverses, shallow crosses, just things to where you can get the ball in his hands quickly and get him in his space so he can do what he actually does well. The problem is he's not going to be a high volume target, especially not downfield in contested situations, what the Chargers keep trying to force him to do, and that's not working. So my hope is that they're trying to come up with another plan and reshuffle the deck, and they originally planned to have Harris be the Z when they thought they were going to have Mike, and now they have some stuff to figure out. But lo and behold, you got KLS who's showing out these last couple of days, and he's doing the stuff that QJ ought to be able to do based on his skill set, which is even weirder. So I think we're going to have a little bit of a competition here, and QJ probably like feels that creeping over his shoulder. So we all, of course, we don't want the dude to fail. We just want everyone to be realistic and just be honest. Like, you can be objective. Just because the dude's wearing powder blue doesn't mean that you can't critique him. If he's not playing up to snuff, then we call him out for it. If he performs well, then we do. But what you shouldn't do is grandstand whenever he makes a couple of plays against like second and third teamers and then go just zero dark 30 when he drops a pass. Can't do that. You either stand on it or don't, or you could just be fair and objective like we try to be. But it's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Roman and Ladd and everybody for talking up your teammates. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do. I mean, if Ladd went up there and was like, no, QJ sucks, I mean, he'd be a terrible teammate, and who'd want to play with a guy like that? And so I'm not blaming the coaching staff or his fellow teammates for, talking him up, and maybe he looks great. That's great. But we're all waiting to see it, and I don't want to see it during training camp. I am past the QJ hype during training camp and preseason. I'm over it. When he shows out for multiple games throughout a season against NFL competition, then we're talking. Okay, then we can talk about this crazy turnaround and how Law's, a miracle worker and Harbaugh can fix anybody. We'll get into all that, but it's the fans and some of the people who have a platform, that are like, hey, QJ's great. Here we go. They've got multiple wide receiver ones now. When, we're talking about 2 catches and, it's like 3 catches in 2 days, 2 TDs in 1 day. And all of a sudden he's wide receiver 1. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. It's disappointing is what it is. Yeah. Let's not put that bar so high for QJ. If he's wide receiver 3 and you got to work Trey Harrison or whoever, probably not Trey Harris, but whether it's KLS or whoever, or Rager, and you have QJ at wide receiver 3 to start the season, then, so be it. He wins it through competition. I'm okay with it. But to really put him on that pedestal every single training camp, where I get it, rookie year, you've kind of got a little buffer. And then the second year, you're hoping for that, to turn it around. But at this point, it's like, how long are we just going to go through the same thing with QJ? And we're going to have this argument that he's just not where he should be. And there are plenty of wide receiver 3s in this league that can contribute, and maybe QJ can be that. But to put him up as a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 and say that he's going to put up that production where he's going to sniff around 1,000 yards a season is ridiculous. And it's disappointing.
To quote a former president, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Well, you can't fool me again.
Yeah, you can't fool me.
Yeah. So as far as this goes, I will ask people out there this. What is your most recent memory of Quentin Johnston? Because I can tell you what mine is, because I was there in Houston against the Texans, 5 targets, 0 receptions. As a first-round wide receiver in your second year, you can't have that. But then you got Ladd on the other hand, who's facing double and sometimes triple teams, going for almost 200 yards receiving. A second-round receiver, by the way. It's, that's personally, like I'm saying, just be realistic. We want the guy to succeed, but we also don't have lofty expectations. I want him to exceed expectations, but I'm cautiously optimistic about it. Improvement in the margins is great. I'm not expecting him to be a superstar this year, and I feel like a lot of people are pumping him up to do that, and I would just warn you to pump your brakes just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's where we land. It's, don't pump him up to be a wide receiver 1, and then don't demand that he go works for Uber Eats next week. Find somewhere in the middle where, look, if he's a wide receiver 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range, great. If he can contribute from game to game and give you, a 50-yard performance every, couple games, then awesome. If he can contribute a little bit, that's great. You're somewhere in the middle. Find some safe space, because where these fans are landing is crazy. It's in either opposite directions, and they need to find some common ground in the middle. And that is, hey man, wide receiver 3, maybe 4 or 5, fine. So we talked about the rookies. Let's touch on those, because it really feels like after a very, very short holdout from Trey Harris, ever since he's hit the field, he's, been mentioned about some kind of great catch, or we've seen clips of him when he went 1v1. And then, we talked about KLS again today, had a great day. Both rookies putting up some really, really good days.
Yeah. If you follow me on Twitter, I did a quick breakdown of a couple of clips from Trey Harris. I think it was yesterday's practice, if I'm not mistaken. So just ran 2 really crisp routes, and he showed me a little something that I didn't necessarily see at Ole Miss. I think it was just more so because of what they asked of him. But again, I'm TOP_FLYT3 over on Twitter if you want to see those quick little breakdowns. But I'm a former wide receiver. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Thank you.
But audio, you got it.
Yeah. Just for the people out there on the audio adventure, if you want to go check that out, I'm a former wide receiver, and I'm kind of a psycho about it. So just little things I pick up on. I didn't see this type of nuance to his route running at Ole Miss. He ran a couple of routes where he showed some tremendous footwork, ability to just kind of stop and chop and get out of his breaks in a hurry. Very little waste movement. We're talking about a dude who's 6'2", a little over 200 pounds. So he moves really well. He's not a burner, but he knows how to use leverage. He understands how to, spatial awareness, and he doesn't seem like he has an issue plucking the ball out of the air either. So what we're seeing just from Trey looks amazing, and everybody is, like I say, it looks like Keandre Lambert-Smith is attempting to steal the show right now, making some of the most fantastic grabs you would expect. What was Lambert? 4th, 5th round? What are we talking?
I want to say 5th.
Okay. See, we are getting old. I'm 42 and I can't even remember what happened in April.
Kennard was 4th.
Yeah. So we're talking about a mid-round pick who's coming out and showing that he has a skill set that the Chargers have lacked for quite some time. And when you're looking at some of the ability that he's putting on display, it's really encouraging. Now, I get it. It's only been like a couple of practices because he was out for pretty much all of the spring with some sort of injury. I don't think we ever found out what that was, but he's shown up and he hasn't missed a beat. And when you're talking about a player who can make these types of grabs, I think Greg Roman compared him to, was it Brandon Lloyd? Former Niners, Broncos wide receiver. Was it Brandon Lloyd? It's Lloyd. Can't remember if it's Brandon Lloyd or not. But when he made the comparison to Lloyd, it threw me off a bit, but I'm like, is he only talking about in stature because they look like they're around the same size? But what Lloyd was known was for these really crazy acrobatic catches and sticky hands. And the last 2 days, it's been like, oh, that's what you were talking about. But then he has this added element of being able to stretch the field. So if the Chargers and Sanjay Law found like a diamond in the rough here, and I mean, he wasn't like a player that didn't have a name. He was just at Auburn with trash quarterback play, and he didn't have the best experience while he was at Penn State before he transferred, but the ability was always there. It's just, can he be consistent? And what can happen when you get him with a guy that can actually put the ball on him? And we're seeing a little bit of that right now early. And the fact that he's getting some work in with Herbert and the ones, it makes the offense a little bit more, well, a lot more explosive, and it gives Herbert some more options in the passing game. And again, it's an element that we didn't know that they were going to have without Mike Williams, somebody who can get downfield and isn't even really the biggest body, but can still win in contested catch situations. So I'm loving what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. And I ended up going back and like looking at our little draft notes of the stuff we got with their like plan throughout the draft and like what they really felt about KLS, because I remember on day 3, just like, it was like, text after text about all these guys. Cause they had back-to-back 5ths. And so they had multiple picks throughout the draft, a lot late. And so the note that I had, I guess we read it during the draft podcast, but this was one of Law's favorite day 3 wide receivers was KLS. They felt, and I'll just read, he said, they really felt like they needed more speed in the room, and they really think that he's going to be a better pro than he was in college. And they think he will immediately compete with Mike Williams and QJ in camp. Mike Williams obviously not there anymore, but you see it right now competing with QJ. They were not lying. And, you saw what they said after they picked him, and they're putting it into action now. So I loved a lot of KLS's tape. I felt like he showed a lot of mobility and a lot of straight line speed, which he showed at Auburn. And, he showed off some of that contested catch ability too, that he showed off in college in camp. So I'm really excited to see how he does. I just know that there was an issue with his route tree. Like, it just wasn't all that developed. They felt like they saw enough that he could really touch that up at the next level. But I'm curious, if it isn't just go routes in training camp, because we know a lot of these fast wide receivers. I mean, we saw Darius Davis catch like multiple touchdowns his rookie season in training camp. So, a lot of these speed guys on an island can get behind some DBs when there's no pressure on the quarterback. But I'm really curious to see what KLS is going to do in the preseason. And I think it kind of helps. The Mike Williams retirement helps out Trey Harris and KLS. They just don't really have the depth to be playing, a bunch of wide receivers now. Not that Mike Williams is going to, but it's just like they're getting thrown in now. We're probably going to see a lot more reps from Harris and KLS in the preseason, which will be a lot of fun. But yeah, both Harris and KLS have been great. I put it in the Discord today, and I texted you also about this, Craig, but I guess is it Delavion Campbell?
I haven't done my due diligence on this guy quite yet.
I haven't either. And I guess he's getting some wide receiver 1 reps early in camp. I don't know. He got a touchdown catch one day. He dropped one the other day. It's curious that he's getting that much run outside of Brennan Rice. I know Rager is injured. Mike Williams retired. I felt like we'd be hearing a lot more from Darius Davis, Brennan Rice, those type of guys. But looks like Campbell's moving up a little bit.
Yeah. What I'm curious about is whether or not the Chargers are maybe thinking they still need to bring in another potential body in the wide receiver room, only if for nothing else, the fact that you're going into the preseason, Mike Williams wasn't going to play. Like, I don't know how much they planned on playing Trey Harris, like say for instance, next week. I don't know if they plan on giving him much run then, if they're giving him more than like a series or two. But my concern is going into the season, if one of these guys goes down, then you don't feel as weird about what you would last year. Because say, for instance, something were to happen to Trey Harris. Well, you still have Ladd McConkey. QJ probably gets elevated a bit. KLS, if he's still doing what he's doing, he's definitely going to be getting some snaps. But you don't have enough various types of bodies and styles to continue to compete in the passing game. You'd have to get probably really I was going to say, these words don't necessarily align with Greg Roman. I was going to say creative, but probably have to incorporate your tight ends a little bit more, which you probably will, and we might even talk about that in a bit. But yeah, I think they should at least explore bringing in maybe another vet body, or hell, if you want to bring someone that you think can be a vital part of the passing game as well, the more the merrier. The better players. Who's going to turn down better players? So yeah, I'm just curious as to what the plan is going to be going forward. How comfortable are they with the room as is? Because keep in mind, they didn't know Mike Williams was going to retire. So I would assume that this changes plans up pretty significantly. So to just stick with what they have, just kind of based on the direction it looked like they were going, just kind of got to keep an eye out here through the rest of the preseason and see what might shake loose from maybe a tree off of another team. Who knows?
Yeah, so we need to discuss this. So Mike Williams retires before he even takes a snap in training camp. So I'm happy for Mike. I really feel like, he's doing the right thing here. I don't know how much longer he can try to run it back again with another injury, and now he gets injured before training camp, and sometimes you just got to know when to hang it up. And he did, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad he didn't just like run it out again, get injured, and then I don't know, gamble away his future. I don't know. He needed to retire. It was about that time. I felt like this season was going to be like a run it back year, but it really felt like this signing of Mike Williams in the offseason was more based on nostalgia than it was real life production and help in the wide receiver room. He was a nobody last year. He looked like he was on his last legs at the end of his time with the Chargers. He looked absolutely awful last year between the Jets and the Steelers. And I know he was nursing injuries, but it just looked like he had fallen off a cliff, and it just didn't feel like you could think that he would be that maybe give you 1,000-yard season type of guy anymore. So I didn't even love the signing when it happened. But Trey Harris, I love that pick. I really like the traits of KLS. Ladd McConkey's a stud. I argued for him being wide receiver 1 in week like 2 or 3 last year. He's amazing. More on him. I love giving him more, and he just seems like he's getting better. But they are outside, then you look at like QJ and Rager, Darius Davis, who I guess is getting more run this training camp. I guess they're seeing that they think that they can really let him loose this season. I just don't know if that's going to be possible, but they are a Ladd McConkey injury away from being one of the worst wide receiver groups that we've seen in the Chargers in a very long time. They are one injury away from being just awful. We don't know what's going to happen with Trey Harris. We don't know what's going to happen with KLS. Rager is a drop machine. QJ is inconsistent as it gets, and you've got one consistent option. I totally understand. I have high hopes for Trey Harris. I have high hopes for KLS. I think Ladd takes a jump this season, but man, when you look at that group, there's so much uncertainty, and it's not like they have a tight end on the roster that can kind of take the pressure off that group. You're talking about Disley, Conklin, Gadsden. Disley has had I think he got over 50 yards twice last season. I think Conklin did it like 3 times last season. And they're like both sniffing 30. And then you Gadsden's a rook, so you don't even know what to get from him. So I really feel like if they do not add somebody, it almost feels like they just are not pushing it in this year. I don't know how from GM to head coach to even to Lal, you can look at this group without Mike Williams, who at least was a veteran presence. I'm not saying he's got to be 1,000-yard game guy, or season guy, but he was at least going to give you hopefully some kind of production. You have no idea what any of these guys are going to do. Now, Trey Harris could ball out. KLS could be, the next best deep threat in the NFL, and Ladd McConkey could be, the wide receiver one we all thought he could be. That would be great, but you're banking on a lot of uncertainty with this group. They have got to get another wideout. If they do not, I do not feel like they're serious about this season. And it doesn't have to happen right now. It's not like they got to go trade for somebody. I'm not even in love with any of the wide receivers that are in the market. I know fans want Keenan Allen, but that means you're going to start taking snaps away for Ladd McConkey, and you cannot do that. And Amari Cooper is like what Mike Williams was, on his last legs and absolutely fallen off a cliff. So tradings for someone now might be a little tough, maybe towards the end of the preseason, where teams start to look like, hey, maybe we can let a guy go or not, or getting somebody after the 53. But that's a game. There has to be another addition to this wide receiver room. And I don't want to gamble on a Campbell and think that, oh, this is our wide receiver 4 or 5. You just cannot do that. So in my mind, and it feels very black and white as I'm saying it, and I get that, and it may sound that way, but if they do not get another veteran wide receiver or some kind of help in that wide receiver room, I do not feel like they're serious about really going for it this year. And not that they need to go ham and go trade for like CeeDee Lamb, or you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't need to go try to get Justin Jefferson. I'm just saying they need to get somebody to help out this room, because there is just too much uncertainty with this group.
Yeah. And I purposely didn't name Ladd McConkey as a potential injury situation because I don't want to wish that evil on him. Right. So sorry, Trey. I know I named you, but I wasn't saying Ladd's name. I wasn't going there. But yeah, like you mentioned, if that were to happen, I mean, there's so many question marks right now. There are a bunch of unproven guys, and the guys that are there, other than Ladd, are currently inconsistent. So I agree. There definitely should be a move made. What they would go after, I'm not certain. I've seen a lot of Scary Terry requests out there from the Commanders. Maybe a possible trade there, but they've got a young Jaden Daniels who needs all his weapons. So I don't think it would behoove them to remove their number one target. So they're probably going to figure out how to get that done. We'll see. But Chargers absolutely have to pick up someone. You mentioned Amari Cooper. Yeah, same thing.
There's a list somebody gave us here. Do you like any of these names from Stephen P? Amari Cooper, Gabriel Davis, Nelson Aguilar, or Tyler Boyd?
Okay, so the name that sticks out there just because of stature is Tyler Boyd, but he's more of a big slot, so he doesn't necessarily give you what you lost with Mike.
Or Jamison Crowder is
Crowder, and I think Crowder's a smaller guy too.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of thinking of height and just stature and how they be utilized in the offense. They need a bigger body X receiver. And I'm still not convinced that Trey isn't going to cross-train to become the X. I think maybe he move into that role next year, potentially. That was probably the plan from the beginning. I mean, of course, Mike Williams wasn't going to be a long-term answer there. But right now he's a rookie, and they're probably just trying to get him to learn that one spot for the time being, or maybe we'll see him do a little bit of both. Who knows? Kind of sort of like Josh Palmer did. But right now, as far as free agency is concerned, there really isn't a lot out there that I like. I guess maybe you have to look at some other teams' rosters, see who might be receiver heavy, who can offer you someone that can be more of a boundary X receiver and won't cost you an arm and a leg to get. But if teams know you're desperate, they're going to try to fleece you. So playing it close and waiting until we get through camp and seeing when teams cut down to 53 is also risky, because you want that guy to be in camp to learn your system. So the only way that works out is if it's someone who's accustomed or knows the system. Say like a Ravens wide receiver, someone who's run this style of offense before, somebody who's been in a Roman offense, who gets the terminology and can step in without having a whole lot of time on task with regard to practice. So they're in a bit of a pickle right now because the Mike Williams thing, I'm sure, completely came out of left field. So now they're having to pivot. We know the running game is going to be the foundation of this offense anyway. They're going to build off of that, utilize play action pass to get some easier opportunities for Herbert and maybe free some guys up, some crossers and some down the field shots. But they still need somebody that they can get the ball to, that can move the chains, that can beat press coverage, that doesn't require the largest window to be able to make a reception. And right now in free agency, I just don't see that guy. And the ones that are available that could potentially do it are probably old and have injury concerns. So it's just a bad spot to be in right now.
Your dad says you're available. What are you looking? What's your price tag? You're going 1 year probably, right?
DM me, man. Like the way that my knees feel right now, I would say, you know what? No, I won't put that out there because you know how these negotiations work. If I give you a number, you're going to try to like lowball me. So I'm not going to put that on the podcast. Okay. Send it to my inbox. We can talk about it.
Right. Yeah. And well, I'm going to scrub that knee comment so that they don't hear about that before.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, I'm 42, man. You got to know what you're getting. I'm being outright honest with you.
You're upfront about that, just not the.
You're not getting young Randy Moss. That's not happening.
So sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say you might get Seattle Jerry Rice, but that was productive.
Yeah, sure. And that's what they need. They need a veteran presence. I mean, you don't have any NFL experience, but the wide receiver experience. Okay, so here's some names that I've thought about. And this is about calling a team and seeing if they're available. Some guys that are now, some teams that like drafted some guys, and they might be like at the end of a depth chart type of move. We know that they tried to trade for, they were in on that George Pickens when the Steelers were dangling them early on. So they were looking for some wide receiver help. Now, they ended up, that was probably like, hey, maybe we can grab a wide receiver through trade and then draft one as well. And then they ended up nothing worked out. And they drafted 2 wide receivers. But one guy that I'm thinking about, and I've got like 2 or 3. I gotta think off the top of my head, but or the names that I remembered pulling earlier. One name is Romeo Doubs from the Packers. Now, I'm not talking about Big X. I'm just talking about some wide receivers that could add some depth. Yeah. They drafted Matthew Golden, and Williams, Savion.
They got like 7 of the same types of play. Well, Williams is a little different. He's kind of QJ, but more athletic, which is wild to say. But yeah, same issue with like the hands.
Yeah. So Dobbs, I think 5th year option at this point. He's entering contract year. They just drafted 2 wide receivers. They've got more to come. They got to let one of those young guys go at this point. So I think that might be somebody that's worth pursuing. There was another one, and I think I wrote it down here. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up. I thought about if we want to go down the nostalgia well, Treylon Burks might be a guy that might be available because they got a bunch of guys. They got Tyler Lockett this offseason. They got Van Jefferson, not that mattered, but who's the guy that Stanford kid that Jamie was killing his name? Ayo Manure. He was calling him.
Yeah.
Alec. They drafted him. So I mean, if you're talking about a big wide receiver, Christian Kirk's a guy I could see getting cut. I know they just traded for him, but they drafted Higgins and Jalen Noel. So he could be on the chopping block. And I'm trying to think and Curtis Samuel from the Bills. Now that's not as good of a fit in terms of like, we don't want to take away him from the X, and he hasn't really been all that consistent, but it just feels like the Bills added Elijah Moore. They got Palmer. They drafted a wide receiver. Now I can't remember which one it was, but he might be a guy that's on the chopping block. Maybe somebody you can throw a pick out for. Well, that's just a list of a couple guys.
Yeah, and you mentioning Treylon Burks is funny because both Jamie and I were really big Treylon Burks
You guys
fans.
loved him.
Yeah, it hasn't panned out, and I mean for a few different reasons, but there's a chance that he could end up on the street
Yeah.
because there's a guy that no one's really talking about that has a rapport with
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward already, and that's
Mhm.
Xavier Restrepo, who wasn't even drafted, but he was Cam Ward's number one receiver at Miami. I know this because you folks out there know I'm a huge Miami Hurricanes fan. So he's already making noise out there with the Titans. So yeah, there's a potential for a bigger body guy with like athleticism and some downfield speed like Traylon Burks to be available. But yeah, also like you mentioned, the Packers have like a handful of guys, 4 or 5 of them that do the exact same thing
Yeah.
and just kind of copy and paste. They have a type. So,
They sure do.
there's some names to look out for that could potentially not make the 53, get cut, and the Chargers can bring them in and probably work them into the mix. But again, they're going to have to take some time to get acclimated into the offense. And the other side of that is they're not going to take just anybody. You have to be willing to block as well. So that's going to be a prerequisite.
For sure. So let's go back to training camp because we kind of circled around wide receivers and running backs and all that. But before we get off of offense, sounds like, I mean, I saw the video of Joe Alt just like anchoring Khalil Mack, which is almost impossible to do, but he somehow did it at left tackle, which isn't his natural position. He's playing right tackle. And then stopping Bud Dupree, having him run around the hoop. He was also looked great, and I heard Becton's looked really, really, really good too.
I understand moving all to left tackle while Slater's not in,
Mm-hmm.
but you've got a new right guard in Becton that he has to get used to playing next to. I would rather him spend his time at right tackle. I mean, we know he can play left tackle. That's his natural position.
Yeah.
He's only been at right tackle. Now this is going to be a second year playing it. So I don't love the fact that they're moving him more so over the left. You got your swing tackle and Pipkins. Just let him get in. I mean, it's early in camp. Nobody's going to the ground right now. Herbert isn't really in danger. So, I mean, honestly, it makes me wonder, is that the plan? Like if something were to happen to Slater, are you automatically thinking that you're then going to take Alt and move him over to left tackle and then Pippins becomes your right tackle? Which I guess if you want to have somebody defending Herbert's blind side, I would much rather it be Joe Alt. But again, like I said before, that's his natural position. He's not going to forget how to be a left tackle. He's still learning right tackle.
Yeah. But that sounds exactly like what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're going through it like Slater's hurt, and this is what they would do. They move Alt to left, and then Pipkins to right, which is unfortunate.
Well, at least Herbert would be able to see what's coming. That's the difference. There would definitely be some movement in the pocket with Trey Pipkins playing tackle again. Those days are not ones I want to have to remember or relive, should I say.
Yeah. And then I feel so Gadsden's been another guy that's flashing camp too. Seems to be building a little rapport with Herbert, which is nice. He is a rookie, but I do have to say, I feel like he's getting the kind of QJ treatment too. Like both of his catches were like in his hands, nobody really near him. And it's great. I mean, he's making his catches, and I'm not saying he's QJ, but like I'm seeing like they finally got their tight end one. Gadsden, here he is. Here we go, baby. And I'm like, bro, that was a 2-yard completion and he fell to the ground. That was the completion today. He caught a 2-yard out and fell down on it, and the DB tapped him down. But it was like, what are we doing here?
This is where we are as fans, man. We've been so deprived. We've been so deprived as fans at certain positions, like tight end being one. We have not had a really good receiving tight end in quite some time.
That everybody's tight end one.
We'll take whatever we can get at this point. And Gaston, he looks good from what we've seen in the spring. And I mean, I'm not saying he's going to set the world on fire this year. He's still a guy that's also learning the role as a former wide receiver. He's only been a tight end for a few years. And what I do like is that you can tell he took the offseason very seriously. He put on some pretty significant muscle mass. Yes. And you heard stories about him, showing up to the facility, to the boat early, being the first guy there, out on the field, going through routes and everything, even before film. So I like the work ethic. He's got the bloodlines with his dad being a former NFL player. All that's great. But let's not put too much on these guys' shoulders right now until he's in pads and proving that he can also block, which is not something that was a strong suit of his. He's going to be more of a seam stretcher, complementary role guy. And maybe they did find someone that can eventually turn into a high level tight end. I mean, I think everybody's hoping, and shout out to Antonio again for making the Hall of Fame. We'll see you when you get inducted. But maybe they're thinking, hey, Chargers did it once with an undrafted dude. Maybe they can get this guy that's former wide receiver that's learning the role or learning the position now to be the next in line to hold up or take up that mantle. But everybody just give it time. Let the kid develop. Don't put those expectations on him, and don't be impressed by things that you should be able to do at the position you're playing. Like, the bar is super low. We should expect more. Like, I want us to want more for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw, man, who was it? Somebody, I'm trying to remember if it was a reporter. Yeah, it was Andy Bischoff said that he looked like Darren Waller. And I just want to, like, I don't know why everybody's got to comp everybody, but like, look, they have two, like I mentioned, they have two tight ends that have starting experience. They have Tyler Conklin. They have Will Dissly. Tucker Fisk was, I thought, a pretty nice revelation towards the end of that year last year. Really, really good blocker as that fullback and that extra blocking tight end. I mean, they've got some experience there. Let him stretch the seams. Let him, I mean, maybe he takes on that kind of almost Donald Parham role where, you know, he's on passing downs and he can stretch the seam, maybe comes in on the red zone as another receiving weapon. I love that. But I mean, come on, man. And also, by the way, as a side note, as you're talking like, hey, maybe they'll do it again with Gates, I'd much rather have the path that the Chargers have got where they went from Breeze to Rivers to Herbert than to wait a decade or two to get another Antonio Gates. Because that's unheard of. To go on a run like the Chargers have with quarterbacks is unheard of. And the fact that they've been able to do it is amazing.
Yep. Definitely been fortunate in that regard. The most important position
so I'll
in
take
NFL.
that
Now, it hasn't yielded any championships yet,
No,
but
it has
at
not.
least you have the most important position on the field taken care of. Now it's up to the rest of management to supply your quarterback with everything that he needs on the offensive, defensive side of the ball, and then coaching and, you know, developing players. We know these are all things the Chargers have been allergic to in years past, but now we feel like there's the crew that's going to be capable of doing it. So I have a lot more confidence. But yeah, give me my quarterback first and foremost.
If I got to go through a quarterback competition in training camp, I'm retiring with Jamie. I'm like, let's go get margaritas on the beach, Jamie. I am not going through this.
And keep in mind, it took us almost killing Tyrod Taylor to find out what Justin Herbert was. So,
yeah,
you know.
But anyway. And yeah, so Steven's right. I mean, from Favre to Rodgers to Love, that's and a lot more success than the three Chargers quarterbacks. Can't really argue with that. But yeah, I'm hoping Gaston succeeds this year. I really like the pick. I didn't watch him during the draft process, but when when you guys got all excited through text, I was really excited to watch him, and I did like what I saw. So I'm excited to see him. And I'm glad he's having a good camp.
The potential's there. Like, he's got the athleticism, he's got the hands, the capability to be what they want to have out of their tight ends in this offense. Now, again, the blocking we have yet to see because that wasn't his bag, but he's going to have to develop that. But what he can contribute in the passing game, I think you'll see that start to come into form. Maybe mid-year, you'll see him start to become more of a contributor in the offense in the passing game. But for the time being, guys, just, let him take the training wheels off. Baby steps. Don't expect too much too early.
Yeah. Really excited to see him in the preseason. He's probably going to be getting run because I don't think that we're going to see a lot of Dissly or Conklin. It's going to be, I think, a heavy dose of Gaston, Fisk, and then whoever the fifth tight end is that won't be with the team. Can't remember his name. He has like a last name for a first name or something. I swear. Do you know who I'm talking about? Dude. Okay. All right. Follow this track with me. Have you watched that show with Blue Mountain State? Did you ever watch Blue Mountain State?
No.
With the football players?
Can't say that I did.
Dang. The dude's name was Thad. Yes, there it is. McAllen Castles.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Dude, what? Switch your names, dude. McCallens. You can't have McCallens as your first name. That just can't happen. But anyway, yeah, him. He's the 5th tight end, and we'll see him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to defense. We obviously saw a big showing from Khalil Mack, which is no surprise. He had a multiple sack day in camp, and he beat up on that UFL kid. I don't know why. Like they threw that Ryan Nelson kid into the fire, dude. I don't know why they did that, but he was playing right tackle, and I saw him get beat twice, I think, during that time.
Welcome.
It was welcome to camp, Rook. Yeah. So and then we saw Thule had a really, really good rep. He like ran over Trey Pipkins, like took his helmet off.
Trey Pipkins, you don't say.
No. And then we've heard a lot from the corners. Cam Hart had multiple PBUs throughout camp. We've seen we saw the rookie Triquez Bridges got beat on a TD, but then from QJ, but then ended up getting an interception the next day. Got 2 completions. I mean, he was a DB in college, and he plays so good as a press corner with that size and length and physicality. And I was really concerned about that kind of foot speed and the transitions, but it seems like he's starting to come along as a corner, and that's where they're playing him right now. And man, if they can just fix up that footwork a little bit, it could be a really, really nice addition on the outside.
I'm going to deviate from the conversation for 1 second just to put this up here. So interestingly enough, okay, here's the thing.
Whew.
This isn't much of a trivia question anymore, but I'm giving it away. Mike Williams' last touchdown in the NFL, Benjamin St-Juste. So just saying. Anyway, hey, I hope it does work out. We're feeling confident about our coaching staff, their ability to develop guys. So maybe it does. Just saying, though. Are you
talking about St-Juste? Oh, okay.
Yeah, St-Juste got smoked by Mike Will. Not a little. He got beat badly. Talking about like Mike Will with the severed spine and whatever else he had going on. Baked him pretty good. But anyway, as far as Bridges goes, he played a lot of safety at Florida too. He's just got he's really rangy. He's got a press corner build. I think he's a little bit of an older prospect too. But I remember thinking, if they can find a way, and he's pretty athletic. I think he was a 4.4 guy. I think his vert and his explosive scores were pretty decent, if I'm not mistaken. So if that's someone they can develop in short order, that's great. I think if he were to make the team, it would be more in a special teams role. And, if he got pressed into action, we'd see what happens. But yeah, he has definitely made a pretty decent comeback the last 2 days, because first few days of camp, it was rough. Almost every highlight I saw was him being beat. And so, again, it's just a testament that the coaching staff is going to keep him in the fire, and they're going to make him have to learn through repetition, which is the best way. You can't shy away from it. And so it's great that he's been able to show himself to be someone who can compete and potentially maybe earn a spot at the back end of the roster. Guys that stand out to me, and we were mentioning guys in the secondary edge players, but I think this is going to be a huge year for Deion Henley. He had a couple picks in camp already.
Yep.
Deion's always around the ball. That's not something that you can teach. It's instinctual. And oh boy, if my dad's still in here, hey, your new defensive coordinator, that guy kept Deion Henley off of the field his rookie year for an over-the-hill linebacker. And Deion Henley gets his first year starting and pretty much is a Pro Bowl snub.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Henley is borderline all-pro this year. And I just like what I see from him. He had that designation as a coverage linebacker, but he can do a little bit of it all. Short tackler, sideline to sideline. He's not the biggest guy, but he gives effort like some of those hellacious linebackers in the past that were smaller guys, but were super athletic and quick to the ball. So he's not somebody that just gets blown up in the middle at the second level. And then on top of that, if Junior Colson can just stay healthy, because he was my favorite linebacker in that class. I think I had him graded second that year, but he was my favorite linebacker. So I was ecstatic when the Chargers got him. We're talking about a tandem that could arguably be one of the league's best. Again, Colson had a very, very strange rookie year, an appendectomy, some other injuries. Like at one point, that dude was on the field, and if he was over 210 pounds, I would be shocked. He looked like he lost a whole lot of weight. That'll happen when you have to have your appendix taken out, like all that stuff. But looks like he's had a relatively healthy offseason. He looks like, he's back to his old self, and he and Henley together, I think that's an underrated duo right now. No one's really paying attention to it as far as people outside of the Chargers. I mean, everyone who pays attention to the team daily, you get it. You know the type of athleticism that's there at the second level. You know what each of those guys can bring to the table. So right now, those are the two that I'm most excited about. But Henley, I think, has an opportunity to be, outside of Derwin, maybe the second best player on the defense.
Huh. Okay. You think better than Mac this year?
Khalil's going to be Khalil, but at some point, Father Time's going to catch up. What, Mac's 34? So he had a little bit of a decline last year as far as pass rushing was concerned. Look, when you got old man strength and you're just a freak of nature, you're going to be able to, set an edge. You're going to be able to stop the run. Now, how often and consistently will he be able to get after the QB? I think he'll do it in spurts. I don't think he'll be as consistent as he has been in years past. But yeah, I think Henley's just ascending, and I would not be surprised if we're talking about like week 8 or 9, him being like, I'm not going to say heads above Khalil Mack, but definitely someone that you would consider one of the elite players on the defense and potentially one of the best linebackers, if not even just the AFC in the NFL.
Yeah, it seemed like he deserved a Pro Bowl nod last year. So that would be great. Another guy also part of that group is Troy Dye, who the coaches is talking about flying around right now. So I don't know. Could be a pretty good group. Probably. One guy who, he's a rookie, and you hope he does well. But Jamari Caldwell is not getting much of any run in training camp. He started third team D. He has not moved from third team defense. They said he got a sack the other day. It was against a UDFA, which is nice, but he's not getting any second team snaps yet. He is just at the bottom of the depth chart. And when you draft a guy in the 3rd round, you'd hope that he was a little bit more refined and get a little bit more run. And we're early in training camp, but I'm just saying, we're talking about all these guys that are doing great, but just one name, it just feels like we're just not getting a lot of talk about Caldwell.
So Caldwell's going to be a little bit of a slow burn. The position that he's going to be playing is going to be,
or a Boygby in that matter, by the way.
That too. I think a Boygby's been getting a lot of second team reps, and they've been talking him up because of the the muscle that he's put on in the offseason. But again, they knew that they were drafting a project when they took him, so I'm not as shocked about a Boygby. And this being year 2, he'll definitely be a part of the rotation, and I think he'll start to ascend. But you draft Caldwell in the 3rd round, and most people considered it to be a little bit of a reach. But the problem is they were they backed themselves into a corner. When Poona Ford left to go to the Rams, they needed someone who could play zero or nose or one tech, somebody who could be there to eat blocks and free up the guys at the second level. Caldwell can absolutely do that. But one of the things that we appreciated about him was that he was a defensive lineman at Houston, but he rushed off of the edge a little bit and was a little lighter, and he had some pretty good agility. If you remember during the draft, we were cracking up at some of those plays that he made as a pass rusher. Like he did like this little, I think he had a spin move on a tackle. He just made him whiff, got to the QB in like a blink of an eye. So he's got athleticism. He's also another one of those older prospects, but he's someone that they need to be a stopper in the interior in the running game. And I think you'll see him start to move into that role a little bit more. You'll see him as camp goes on, as they get into the season, he'll be a part of that rotation, but you just have to have the proper expectations for him. Again, I think he's going to be a little bit of a slow burn, but that's only because he offers very little on the interior as a pass rusher. And if you're going to be someone who's a run stopper, you're not going to get a ton of reps, just unless you're talking about playing teams like the Ravens or something like that. So he'll have his times where they utilize him a little bit more. But when you have to get after the QB, unless he shows some of that stuff that he showed when he was in Houston from the interior, you probably won't see a ton of it.
Yeah. Anybody else you want to mention from camp? I think we pretty much cover most of it.
I don't think really and truly anyone else has stood out from what I've seen so far. I mean, oh, well, we can talk about the fact that the running backs are a little in flux, kind of, sort of.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
of course, we joked about Najee Harris being
Mhm.
out for the reasons that he is. So that makes Amari Hampton your de facto running back one. And he looks good, looks super explosive. I don't think any of us are surprised by that. But then you got Rocket Sanders, who's currently out with an unknown injury.
Yep.
And what that's done is it's kind of helped Kamani Vidal emerge from the shadows a little bit because now he's got an increased workload. I was a big Kamani Vidal fan, but he kind of disappeared after that big play. Was it like week 2? That rail route he caught for a TD.
Mhm.
And once he got in after that, I mean, the offensive line, they didn't do the best job blocking, so he didn't have a ton of help. But Vidal's someone I find really, really interesting. And that Nyheim Hines signing, it feels like that's more of them getting bodies in. Although Hines was a very, very good return man before he got that injury. What was it, like a jet ski
Yeah.
accident where he tore his
Mhm.
ACL, so he didn't play ball in like 2 years.
Yep.
But before that, he was a really dynamic kick returner. And right now that's leaning more towards running backs in the league with the new rules. So maybe he could find a spot. But right now, I feel like he's just kind of a placeholder. Sanders is supposed to be back next week. And again, they play a game in 8 days. So they
Mhm.
need guys on the roster to be
Yeah.
able to get through that game and then through the preseason as well. So, but right now, I'm keeping an eye on Kamani Vidal to see if he can make a step forward. And I know that Harbaugh loves Rocket Sanders. So they're
Yeah.
probably going to give him every opportunity to stick. I mean, they paid him for someone that was a UDFA. They gave him a pretty decent contract.
Mhm.
So that being said, all eyes for me are going to be on Vidal specifically next week. And we'll see what happens with Sanders, if he can work his way back and if he could potentially play next week. But who knows? We don't know any details about what that injury is.
Yeah. And I have no clue what kind of shape Hines is in. Nobody
Yeah.
talked about what. I mean, 2 years off of football, recovering from an injury. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't retire, to be honest with you. But here we are, and they needed. I mean, it's true. They needed a body. They got Hassan Haskins. They got Vidal. Hampton's great, though. I can't. Again, I cannot stress enough how. I mean, let's all get excited about football, and I get it. Like, football's fun, but if we're like getting excited about bags and stuff, and we're talking about like running over drills. I mean, we gotta pump the brakes. This is crazy. I
People
mean,
miss football, man.
they do,
I'm right
and
there
that's
with y'all.
fine. I mean, and I get it, and I like something like, man, I hope whatever. Hampton's great, but to be like, look at him hopping over bags, like we got our next LT type talk is like, are we that starved?
Hope springs eternal, man. People need something to believe
God,
in.
man, and I'm happy, but anyway, so yeah, so the fact that Hampton's getting more reps is actually great. I love that the young kids getting. I mean, it's unfortunate what happened to Najee Harris, but I'm happy that he's getting a lot more work. A lot of people excited about the Nyheim Hines signing. I mean, if this were 3 years ago, I'd be excited too. But I just don't know what kind of shape he's in. So we're not going to get the version 3 years ago type Nyheim Hines, but if he could come in and add some competition, that's great. But I do want to say, because we've been away for a while, that I truly believe, and I'm not really like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but
I might be a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on what we're talking about. But it just feels like, and I think this just feels like common sense to me, and I might be totally wrong. This is totally speculation, but I wholeheartedly believe, with no evidence at all, that this Najee Harris injury is worse than they are letting on. I do not expect him to be ready for the start of the season. Anything to do with fireworks and an injury is so scary. Any kind of eye injury, in my mind, is super concerning. A superficial eye injury is so suspect. I mean, if they were just like, oh, I don't know, injured his cornea, needed surgery, or I don't know, there's been no specifics, and there's been no evidence of anything. After during that same incident, some dude was in critical condition and another person lost their fingers. So if you were part of an event where somebody almost died and somebody else lost digits, it is serious. And Najee Harris was close enough that he got injuries. So to me, if you're close enough to an incident that has a guy that almost died and you're injured, it's bad. So
you know what? TMZ never finds the things that we need, right? They have stories on everything else. They find pictures of all this other stuff, but you can't give me a picture of Najee. I just want to see him.
Yeah. And the fact that we have seen no like evidence of anything, like we haven't seen a picture of him, like he hasn't gone on Instagram and posted a story like, hey, eyes healing up or whatever, like look how bad it was type of stuff, which happens all the time with his offseason injuries. I mean, it becomes more suspect with the day. And I don't think he came to the facility with a glass eye, but I do feel like he's not going to be ready in a couple of weeks for the season. I think
he's definitely walking around with like a patch or something on. Though.
Yeah, he might have a patch.
He couldn't stand in front of a lectern with a patch on and talk.
Right.
Man. Like, you know how crazy that would be.
Oh my
People
God.
would blow up. So they're hiding him for a reason. I mean, he's been at the facility. He's been around. So, I mean, he's well enough to be around the team and be in meetings. So, but I'm trying to exercise a little bit of optimism. I'm trying to, because if it was extreme, like what's my guy's name? Well, the Buccaneers that blew his hands off. No, dude who blew his hands. Well, Jason Pierre-Paul. He did play with the he did play with the Giants. Like, it didn't take super long before we found out that he was missing fingers, and there were pictures of them.
Oh yeah.
So it was just kind of like, hey, I don't know how long we can hide this. It is what it is. He had whatever procedures he had, and then it was just like, hey, missing 3.5 fingers. I'm just going to play football like this. I mean, I get that. You're a defensive lineman. As a running back, you kind of need both your eyes.
Yes.
So I would imagine that, again, they're just trying to protect him.
Ask Melvin Gordon. He walked around with 2 eyes all the time, and it didn't help him. Not at all. He looked like he had an eye patch on. He ran like he had one eye. That's the kind of running back Melvin Gordon was. But look, also like, no teammate's been like, oh, he's doing great. He looks great. Like he's in good spirits. I saw him. He looks.
They're probably not even allowed to talk about him.
And I do want to be completely honest here. This is 100% without a doubt speculation. I know nothing. Also, I hope that he is totally okay. I hope that it was like a finger to the eye. He just was a little sore the next day. It was a little red, and he's fine, and they're taking their time. But in my mind, with everything that's happened of what we know, which is just what's been reported, I don't know him personally. I'm not in the building with them. I haven't asked my guy about it. I'm just saying it feels like he's probably going to miss a week or two of the season in my mind, while they just kind of like slowly ease him back, let him get comfortable, let the eye heal. It's not something you really want to mess with anyway. That's just my opinion. It just feels like, this is a little bit more serious than they're talking about. Not like, hey man, you'll never play football again, but let's take our time. Let's let this thing heal. Let's give you a couple extra weeks, because I don't know that he's going to be ready by that time. It just doesn't feel like it.
I just can't get over the irony of it happening on Spano Street. You're talking about just kind of sticking a knife in a little bit. It feels like that's just kind of the next logical step, right? It happens on Spano Street, and like he's got blurry vision in one eye for the rest of his life or something like that, and he can't play football moving forward. I'm not wishing him on. I'm just saying that would just be like Chargers luck. It just feels like that's the direction that it would go in if
that he never missed a game his whole entire career,
and then he
on Spano Street and has to retire
on Spano Street. It makes perfect sense. It's poetic justice, wouldn't it? But I don't know, man. I will say though, again, like I mentioned before, the running back room, it's going to be fun to see some of these backup guys get some burn here in the preseason, but here's hoping that Najee's okay, because this offense feels a lot more. I'm not gonna say dynamic. I mean, between the two of them, it would be kind of like a dynamic duo. But we know what Najee is, and just being able to bludgeon teams with a running game of a 1-2 combo with he and Hampton, I was really looking forward to that. So here's hoping that we still get what we need.
Yeah, I wish him nothing but best, and I really, really, really do hope he is okay, because fireworks are scary, and I don't know what. I mean, I don't know why fireworks aren't that scary, but you got to be safe when you're doing it. And I don't know why athletes want to mess with that stuff. Like, dude, just go to a event, go park in your car, watch it, and drive away. I don't know why you got to do it personally. Get away from anybody else that's doing it. It's just, why mess with your career like that?
But that's the thing that never made sense about this to me is like, dude, you're on a prove it contract. So you're looking to parlay this into a bigger deal after this year. Why would you put yourself in a scenario where you could potentially do damage to yourself and maybe jeopardize the opportunity to even have that happen for you moving forward? So it just seemed like poor decision making. We don't know what took place, but my thing is, if you were close enough for that to happen, then you have control of controllables, man.
Yeah.
And if you're in that situation and again, you're on this 1-year deal and you have a lot to go out there, prove to, again, make yourself some money, take care of you and your family going forward, then just be smart.
Yeah. If your friends are doing it, go sit on the porch and watch and let them do it in the street. Like, stay at a safe enough distance. Do what you're going to do, but like, be smart about it.
I'd be at home watching it from like a drone or something. I wouldn't be within a mile or 2 of fireworks if that was my position. Like, I'm protecting my body at all costs. I'm trying to get paid, champ.
To be honest with you, I feel like fireworks are overrated anyway.
I'm right there with you. I mean, on the 4th of July, we'll go out to a park and watch them, but I'm not lighting them. I'm not lighting
them either. But also, like, you go to 4th of July and they're 10 minutes long, and all you're doing is waiting for the finale. Like, oh, cool. Like, okay, that was loud. That was kind of cool. Like, oh, that one screams and that one whistles. Like, oh, that was loud. Oh, car alarms are going off. But like, fast forward to the finale. Give me the finale, and then let's get out of here. Like, it just feels like, I don't know. Fireworks are overrated in my mind. And to play with them as an NFL athlete is insane.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah. So anyway, one thing I do want to touch on before we get out of here, and if you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to put them on. We'll put them in there and we'll answer them. But I cannot believe that this organization has not got a Rashan Slater extension done. I knew
you were going there.
The longer they drag their feet, the worse it's going to get. Give him his money. You have the money. Christian Darrisaw got, 4-year, 104. I mean, that's 26 per. Give it to him, man. Give him 5 years. If it's got to be more than that, if it's 27, he's worth it. He's proven to be one of the best left tackles in the NFL.
It's going to be between 27 and 30 APY. Like, it's going to be that. Just make it happen.
Do it
like
now.
Zach Tom just got a 4-year extension for like 88 mil.
Yeah.
So come on, man. Just stop playing around. And stop lying to us, by the way. Like, you're contradicting yourselves at this point. Like, you have Harbaugh stand up in front of Lectern last week. I'm sorry, that was Roman, and said that he was just taking a rest day for practice, only to be contradicted by Harbaugh days later saying he's working through something minor. Yeah, he's working through something, all right. Like, he's waiting to get this deal done. It's a freaking hold in. We're not dumb. Stop. I mean, I get it. They're trying to keep the onus off of it. They don't want, but I mean, it's literally your star left tackle, the guy who protects Herbert's blind side. Stop playing around with that. Get the deal done. And whatever language, I think there's some sort of language issue that they're having with regard to injuries, potentially. There are always these little things within these contracts that are sticking points that teams don't want to budge on. I would talk about the Bengals, but that's a completely different situation altogether. Mm-hmm. I feel like this is going to get done soon. I just hate the fact that it's gotten into training camp. But then there's also something, I'm not going to speak on that because that's that man's personal business. There's a rumor about why he may not have signed his contract yet, something that they're waiting on. Again, this is all hearsay and rumors, so I'm not going to say that directly on the podcast because I'm not going to be held liable for that. But if that's the case, it is what it is. But if this is a Chargers thing and it's literally come down to just like language based on like some injury guarantees or whatever, then you're splitting hairs at this point. Pay the man and move on.
Watch how quick he heals if you give him 5-year,
Oh yeah.
135. He'll be up and spry, and you will see him every day, bright and early.
Mhm.
And I mean, he's played 15 plus games, 3 out of his 4 years. He's proven that he could be healthy. He's proven he's a top 5 left tackle in the NFL. I don't know outside of quarterback a more important position than left tackle in the NFL. He is a consummate professional. He is a great teammate. He's a good dude. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's a great player. You have money, pay him, give it to him. Forget the language. At some point, just give him his guarantees, fold a little bit, not fold, but bend a little bit, put an escalator in that 3rd year if you're scared, 2nd or 3rd year. You can renegotiate that. See if you can, he'll play those 2 years, be great again, be a top 5 left tackle again for the next 2 years. You'll accept that escalator, keep him for 3 more years, and you're all good. Pay him his money. The fact that they got him at all through the draft was an anomaly. The fact that he fell that far was crazy. Consider yourself lucky and pay him. There is nobody on this team that deserves a contract more than Rashan Slater, in my mind. Herbert got his. Derwin is fine. Give Rashan Slater his money. Nobody deserves it more than he does.
Teddy KGB, pay that man his money.
Yep. So give it to him. You're giving Zach Tom's getting money. Christian Darisaw's getting money. Both good players. They are not Rashan Slater. Give him his money.
Hey, you got to be careful with the Zach Tom disrespect. Isn't that Stanley's guy?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And he was right. He was right about him. Gotta give him props for it.
Oh yeah.
Kind of, sort of like, and I'm not taking a victory lap because this remains to be seen. I was kind of right about Jordan Love. Kind of.
Oh, you said he was good?
Kind of. I liked him. That the same year as Herbert, he was one of the guys that I was kind of pounding the table for. Now I would trade Herbert for him. Yeah. But I was a Jordan Love guy. So
okay. All right, let's get some of these questions. And I haven't really looked at the schedule. Blazing Bolts. What's up, guys? Good to see you back. How many wins do we get this season? Thoughts on the new uniforms? So, uniforms. Craig, let's start there.
Dog, they gave me my navies. That's it's exactly what I wanted. And they styled them precisely the way that I wanted them. They colored in the bolts. It's homage to the teams of the past, the best Chargers teams in the 2000s. And so I'm happy, man. Everything else was just like whatever. Like the yellow joints are gold. It's a lot. Had they kind of broken it up with like a more neutral color, like white pants, I'd be okay with that. It looks better in white. Like I've seen some mock-ups exactly the way I pictured them. They look much better with white pants. The all gold, that's gonna look crazy on offensive linemen or linemen in general. It's gonna look nuts. The other one, super icy, the powder blue pants with the white, the powder. Like, why didn't they do that before? They gave us the yellow pants. Gold pants. I keep saying yellow, but I mean the PP color.
It's yellow. Just say yellow. I forget. They're trying to skew
the PP pants. Yeah, it's the PP pants. The sunshine yellow or gold, whatever. But they look so much better with the powder blue pants. Like I didn't expect that. I was looking for the navies, but I was shocked with the powder blue pants. And really, it's like a notch below the navy for me. The all powder blues are cool. And then you've got the regular standard fare rebrand from a few years ago, which are fine. All whites are always great. I'm just not the biggest fan of the gold yellow pants. It's just something about them don't work for me.
Yeah, I've seen the mock-ups with the white pants and the blue pants. The white is so much better than the blue, but the blue is so much better than the yellow. The yellow on yellow is crazy.
Nuts.
The fact they can say it's gold and it's of the past, and it sucks, dude. Those yellows, I don't care how much you try to convince yourself, those are terrible jerseys. The Chargers are so good with their colors and the way they've gone out and rolled out these jersey combos. Even when they moved to LA, they had some pretty good mock-ups. This year, they improved on all of those, and they gave us the exact navies that all of us wanted and made it better. Mm-hmm. That was so awesome. Those yellows, while it will not stop me from loving those navies, I wish would go away. It's one game, but there is no need for that. They've got such a nice blue spectrum from the navy to the powder to that whatever that other alternate blue they have.
Royal. Yeah.
Royal. Great.
Still love Royal.
Give me some whites. I'm all right with it. But man, they've got such a great blue spectrum. Forget the yellow. It's an accent, man. Leave it as an accent. Do not give it as a primary. That yellow jersey is going to be a pain in my ass to watch when they. I don't.
You know what makes it look crazy? They play the Colts, and it's supposed to be like some throwback theme for that game or something like that. So I don't know what that means.
I'm listening to it on the radio. That's how bad
it's gonna be an eyesore. But I will tell you what makes it worse. So Derwin's stylish, man. He swags pretty much anything that he puts on out. But
hell yeah,
he couldn't even make the goals work because he had on like the yellow leggings too, but they were a different color yellow. So you got like 2 different shades of it. It's disgusting. If they're going to wear those, you got to wear white accessories. I don't even like the powder blue accessories because it's just too much color. Like if you're going to do the yellow, you got to wear something neutral to balance it out. Otherwise, like my eyes, I wear glasses. My vision's already terrible. I can't imagine sitting down watching that game. I don't know what the Colts are going to have on. I would imagine it's going to be white. Hopefully it's just white. But like you said, that might be one we have to listen to on the radio.
Yeah,
and then when we break that down, we have to do it without having actually seen anything. So we have to use our imaginations from the play-by-play because that's disgusting. And the funny part about it is that was the jersey combo. That color was the one that everybody was like, they were doing the mock-ups for months. And like, hey, what if they did these? It was kind of like a running joke, but they made it a reality.
Yeah.
So just the Navy's perfect. Everything else, great. Just after this year, can we just not do it? Is it possible to put these on the shelf? Or if you're going to wear them again, do the white pants, switch it up next year. The yellow and yellow, we can't have that.
Yellow jersey pants sock combo is just downright awful.
Nasty.
And I'm pretty sure Derwin had his grill in when he had that yellow jersey, and it still looked terrible.
If Derwin can't make it look good, nobody can, man.
No. Yellow pants make you look like you peed your pants. You don't see the Browns just rolled out a brown helmet. You're not going to see them wear brown pants. You just don't do that. It doesn't make sense. Yellow on yellow is terrible. I hate it. But anyway, Navy's great. And then the alternates they gave us, beautiful. Mm-hmm. It really feels like they did improve upon the like first jersey changes when they did the move. They made it even better.
Yep, definitely, for sure.
And then I don't have the schedule in front of me. Well, I think we might do a podcast on wins and stuff this season. So we'll get to that.
We typically do, yeah.
Yeah. Then questions here. Clay K, why did they drag their feet on the Trey Harris contract? Well, Trey Harris dragged his feet. The Chargers didn't drag their feet. There were teams. It started with the Texans and the Browns.
Yeah.
Yep. Gave 100% guarantees to their second round picks. And then every other 30 of the 32 first round picks went, wait a minute. We want that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all waited. And then the owner said, wait a minute, you're colluding. How could all 30 of you all have the same idea? And then camp started, and then the pressure went on a little bit. And now it's just kind of fallen where guys are accepting more money than the guys got in their draft slot last year. And that's what Trey Harris did. I think he got 80% of his guarantee. Didn't get the 100. He didn't.
Well, God forbid the players do what the teams do to them and collude. Like there's no way they should be able to do that. Right?
I am so team player on this. Give them their money, 100%, and give them 100% of their guarantee. It is like nothing too, because it's what is it, $9 million or something? I'll look up Trey Harris's contract, but it's like no money at all. It's a drop in the bucket. Give it to him.
Yep. So
it was not Trey. It was not the team.
Well, not the team. Sorry, Trey.
Yeah. It was Trey, and he deserved the money. But he signed it. He's in, and he's doing great in camp. Glenn Gordo, sorry. Question: which retirement punched you in the?
You gonna do it?
No. Punched you the hardest. Philip Rivers, Mike Williams, or my choice, Jamie freaking Hoyle. I mean, we talked about Jamie. That's way personal. So, and then I don't know that we really cared as much about Williams as we did Rivers, because I mean, I got choked up watching Rivers. That man, for how many years was he with the Chargers? He said it in the video. And I just remember shaking my head going, I can't believe we were
What
lucky
was
enough to
it?
have.
Was that
I don't
12,
know.
13?
I don't know. Anyway,
remembering this off the top of my head. Was it like
go ahead.
whatever?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm gonna look it
it's
up.
Phil. It's Phil. For obvious reasons. Like my Chargers fandom started just before the Chargers drafted Phillip Rivers. So I was here like in high school. LT was my favorite running back. I'm out of TCU. That's how I ended up a Chargers fan. So LT and Breeze, and that transitions over to Rivers. So I just got to watch this funny, goofy, charismatic dude all the way through my teenage years up into adulthood, having kids and everything else. Well, nothing in comparison to that tribe he got over there. But, having my own kids, watching him just continue to soldier through some pretty rough years, but just being an Iron Man literally through it all. Like we talk about like favorite moments. I will never forget him gutting out that 07 AFC Championship game with the torn ACL against the Pats. Like to me, that sealed it for me. He was always going to have a special place in my heart. He was always going to be one of my favorites regardless. So yeah, and we saw it coming. We knew the end was near. Like, when we Jamie coined it, started calling him Chuck and Duck Phil. Once that started happening, we pretty much knew that he was coming close to the end. And even though we knew when it happened, still didn't make it any easier. And then to watch him go off and play for another team, that was difficult.
Yeah.
So the retirement, technically, he's retiring a Charger, but he didn't play his last snap as a Charger. So it wasn't like him walking off the field and then, riding off into the sunset. He played for another team. But still in all, definitely Phil, hands down.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mike went, yeah. And it was 16 years, as the chat was saying.
16.
Phillip Rivers will always be my favorite Chargers quarterback. I don't know if anybody will ever take that from me. I mean, just growing up and watching him, before we started the podcast, like I had season tickets with my roommates and stuff, and we used to go and eat a lot and partake in some beverages in the parking lot beforehand, and just watch Phillip Rivers every single Sunday. And it was such a pleasure to watch him and Gates and LT. And it was like the highlight of my Charger fandom. When I decided I wanted to cover the Chargers, I started writing for this blog. It was called Cover 32. And they had a Chargers division. And the guy that worked there got me press passes in San Diego. And I went in the locker room. And I was just, I had done interviews and stuff before. And, I wasn't unfamiliar in that territory, but Phillip Rivers hit me like I had never had before. Just from a personal standpoint, like I have interviewed like a ton of celebrities, just like in general, it was part of my job. Like we're talking like Oprah, Stevie Wonder, like any movie star you can think of. Mostly I've done interviews with them. I've done pre-interview processes and stuff. Phillip Rivers made me the most nervous. And he was sitting in his locker in his cowboy boots. He had a cowboy hat, had a bolo tie, and I was just sweating. And he just put his hand on his shoulder and went, "Hey kid, how you doing?" And it just like, it meant the world to me. And he didn't need to say anything to me. I was supposed to be like a reporter, but he obviously knew I was young and he hadn't seen my face before. And he took 2 seconds out of his day to be like, "Hey kid, how you doing?" And I've never forgot that moment. And I could feel it in my body. It was 10 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. And seeing him retire, man, it got to me a little bit. I didn't end up crying, but I got a little teary. It was welling up a little bit. Just all the beautiful memories of Phillip Rivers is really, really amazing for all of us as Charger fans. And it was a pleasure to watch him play.
I teared up during that video, man. Especially when they brought all those linemen in.
Oh,
They flew them out there. Like, that's crazy. So, cool. Man, we're going to miss Phil, man. Agent 17 forever. He will always be top 3 Charger of all time. Absolutely. Between like LT and Seau. And then, Gates is probably in that 4 range for me. But yeah, definitely top 3 in my book.
Yeah. All right. From Steven. What should we expect from Kyle Kennard this year? Another guy who's been pretty quiet this training camp.
Um, a specialty rusher. They're probably going to have to get him acclimated to not just the speed of the game, but he's not the strongest edge setter. So he'll probably be a little bit of a liability against the run. So as far as my expectations, they're going to work him in the rotation throughout the season. If he comes away with 3-4 sacks, great. I don't see him being a huge difference maker in year one, but he's learning behind Khalil Mack, and I'm sure next year they're going to expect a whole lot out of him. This year, if he gives us, like I said before, 3-4 sacks, I'll be happy with that. I just don't want him to be a liability.
Yeah, so with Mack, with Thule, with Dupree, you're looking at a specialty rusher, and then you've got some other guys like Caleb Murphy, who I guess has made an impression in camp. Morris Brash has been a guy that's been with the team for a little bit. So there are some guys and some competition, but if you're the fourth edge rusher in that group, you're not going to be expected to be on the field all that long without a couple major injuries. And with that, I'm pretty comfortable with that because it feels like he does need a year to learn from everybody anyway. So feels like a really good situation to be in. Mac signed a short-term deal. So, if he's out and Thule stays in and they bring in another edge rusher, you've got, maybe he moves up to, third edge rusher next year, but you can't expect too much from Kennard in year one. I feel like right now it's going to be specialty rusher. You're going to see him, get on the field when they need some extra gas off the edge. But other than that, I do not think you're going to see a lot of them. Probably some special teams ability too. But other than that, I do not see him being on the field a lot.
Be completely honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if they still draft another edge rusher early next year.
Oh,
wouldn't be shocked at all.
Oh, I think they almost have to. If Mac's gone, I think they are going to need to early.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is Khalil's last ride, and even if it isn't, he'll be 35. Yeah. You've got Thule on one side, who's just getting his first year as a starter this year. Kennard's still going to be growing. Bud signed an extension for another year, but he's going to be longer in the tooth, and he's kind of lost a little bit of juice off the edge also. So I think it's a better edge rusher class, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't really looked into prospects quite yet, but yeah, there's probably going to be an early selection on the edge next year in the first 2 or so rounds. I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good bet, unless they make a major move in free agency.
And they're going to have a lot of money.
Yeah, but an edge rusher is coming in the first 3 picks. I just whether they get. Even if they got a high-end edge rusher in the free agency, I still feel like there's going to be one coming early. From Casey, are you traveling to Canton for Gates induction? I am not.
I'll be traveling to my couch.
Okay. Yeah, but I'll be watching it. Chasing Ghosts. Am I crazy to think Herbert and the first-team offense needs to play in at least one preseason game, given the onslaught to start the year? Yeah, real tough to start.
Well, I would assume that they probably get a couple series in.
I think so too.
Typically within like the second, third game, something like that. So you got the Hall of Fame game, which they're not touching the field in. And then they still have they play an extra game. So they still have 3.
Sorry, say that again. I was reading the comments.
They still have 3, right? In addition to the Hall of Fame game. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So yeah, they're probably still going to get reps in like that third preseason game. They'll probably play a couple series then. I don't think it'll be anything crazy, but I don't expect them to go into the regular season completely cold. But Herbert was hurt last offseason, right? He didn't play in any preseason games.
No.
Okay. So I am curious to see how what Harbaugh decides to do with him in the preseason, whether he gets any run at all.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go last question here from Denny Third. If we don't hear from you guys before then, anything you're looking forward to with the game next week? Rookie wide receivers, baby. Definitely want to see KLS, Trey Harris. To be honest with you, I'm really excited about this rookie class. Because they're going to be, it feels like all of them are going to get some run in the preseason. Probably not Hampton as much as everybody else, but I am excited to see like even Mickens to Gadsden to to Caldwell. I think there's a lot of guys that I'm really excited to see get some minutes.
For me, 2 names specifically: Kamani Vidal and Kyle Kennard.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to see Bridges, Mickens,
Oh my
Caldwell,
God, forgot about my
Boygby.
guy Mickens. He's been
Yeah,
making a little bit of noise too.
yeah,
So yep, add him to the list.
yeah. Basically, the entire rookie class.
hmm
A Boygby, I'd like to see how he does. Colson, I'd like to see how he does if he gets some run, which you'd think he probably will.
He probably has to.
Yeah, I don't think Henley and Perryman are going to get a lot of
Mm-mm.
burn in the preseason. So, yeah. Okay. I think that's it. All right. Okay, sorry, last one. How do you feel about bringing in Noah Fant for a tryout?
So when this popped up initially, it was just kind of like, okay, that's cool because he's
Yeah.
always been one of those uber athletic tight ends, and because that's what we've been looking for the
Yeah.
offense. But it
Uh-huh.
feels like, how does that work with the collection of tight ends that they currently have? I mean, we want Gaston to have an opportunity to develop and play,
Mhm.
but I mean, I don't care, because if we're going to have the Ravens mindset like Ortiz does, where he came from, and just hoard tight ends, I'm perfectly fine with that too.
Yeah.
Whatever, the more the merrier, bring them in. And if you can contribute, then so be it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm curious about how it works with the number of tight ends that they're going to roster.
Yeah. I have a feeling they're going to keep 4. And
Mhm.
I would not at all hate bringing Noah Fant in, letting him compete. Gaston's going to stay, but then you think like Conklin, Fisk, maybe if he can push one of those out, maybe. But
They really like Fisk as a
no, I
blocker,
know,
so
and I
mhm,
like him as a blocker too.
mhm.
But I'm just saying, right now, if you're like, I mean, they needed to get better at tight end anyway. If you're going to bring in another tight end, and we don't think whatever first name, last name is good enough as a tryout, McClellan, Castles, is it good enough as competition for the other 4? Hey, man. I mean,
I
they
mean,
talk about breeding competition in that room
you might
or
be
in
able
that
to
building.
sneak Fisk on the practice squad again too. So
Yes, you could, Craig. Absolutely.
hmm.
I don't see any harm in bringing him in. If he doesn't work, and there's a reason why Seattle did not keep him, at least through camp, or at least try to trade him, I'm in it. And I think Disley and Conklin. I mean, Disley had a pretty good year last year, but I don't know how much Conklin's got left. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'd love to bring in that for competition.
hmm I think Conklin's steady. I don't. We'll see what he does with a capable quarterback.
Yeah,
Someone. I mean, he's played with some good ones. I mean, he got
they
fried
say the
Aaron
same thing about
Rodgers.
Fant though. They've said the same thing about Fant. He's never had a good quarterback.
Yeah. Um. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Again, I'm all about the competition too, and I'd be fine with bringing him in because he provides, again, that additional element of athleticism and as a pass catching tight end. So that's great. And if it means, like we mentioned, Fisk being relegated to the practice squad, I mean, it's what he did last year. They brought him up when they needed him, just kind of depending on what they needed for the game. If it was going to be a run heavy game, they're going to need to do like some heavy tight end, 3 tight end sets, stuff like that, then great. But I'm good with it. If they decide to do it, fine. Actually kind of surprised that no one's picked them up quite yet already.
yeah, same. All right, guys. Well, listen, we appreciate you so much for bearing with us. The break is over. We're back to podcasting. You'll definitely see us after the first preseason game. But other than that, thank you for sticking with us. Thanks for tuning in. Jamie, we love you. I'm sure he will come on at some point and talk to you about his thinking and everything that went into him retiring. But Craig and I will be doing it going forward. And Craig, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. And by the way, folks, like, share, and subscribe, please.
Yes.
Help us get in that algorithm. I know we've been out for a couple of months, so we're just trying to get back in the flow of things. So if you would, please, it's greatly appreciated.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.
Salute.